Hello and welcome back to our Spring Boot series. In today's video, we will discuss constructor injection with classes that contain multiple constructors. Open the Spring Boot project last created. In the last video, we learned that specifying autowired annotation is not mandatory if a class contains only one constructor. However, if a class contains multiple constructors and autowired annotation is not specified, then what will happen? Let's now go ahead and create a new interface. I called it Notification Service. For this Notification Service interface, we'll simply define one method called getNotification that returns a string. And now let's create a class that implements this interface. Let's proceed to create a new class. We'll name this class Notification Service-Simple. So, the Notification Service-Simple class will implement the Notification Service interface. And override the getNotification method in Notification Service-Simple. Now, let's implement the code for the getNotification method. We'll define it to return the greeting message, "You have one new notification." And annotate this class with the @component annotation. The @component annotation marks the class as a Spring Bean, making it available for dependency injection. Now, let's create a REST controller class. I'll create a new class and the name of this class is Constructor Injection Controller 1. And annotate this class with the REST controller annotation. And next define a greeting service and notification service private field for the dependency. Private final notification service and private final greeting service. Next, create a construction injection controller. This controller will use constructor injection to get an instance of greeting service. Define a constructor public construction injection controller and add greeting service as an argument variable. Next, create another constructor that takes notification service and greeting service as arguments. Next, define a get mapping for the /to/constructor/greeting/demo endpoint, which calls greeting service.getGreet and returns it in the response. As we observe, we haven't annotated any constructor with autowired yet. Let's see what happens. Now, let's start the Spring Boot application. Oops, our application server didn't start. As we can see in the logs, Spring printed error creating bean with name Constructor Injection Controller 1. And scroll down, we see that Spring couldn't found a default constructor and hence, it couldn't resolve which constructor to use. If your class contains multiple constructors, you need to explicitly tell Spring Boot which constructor to use for dependency injection. Now add auto-wired annotation on our first constructor and restart the Spring Boot application. As observed in the logs, our Spring Boot application has started successfully this time. Now, let's open a web browser to test our REST service. And type localhost 8090/2/constructor/demo into the address bar and press enter. Seems to be something wrong with our URL. Let's modify the URL and press enter again. And success! So we get the message. Now let's what happened if we use second constructor for dependency injection. Let's do it. Remove autowired from the first constructor and add autowired annotation to the second constructor. Let's implement a new getMapping REST API. That will call both the notification service and greeting service methods. Concatenate the strings. And return the response. And restart the Spring Boot application. As observed in the logs, our Spring Boot application has started successfully. Now open web browser for testing our new REST API. And type localhost 8090/2/constructor/demo and click enter. Great! It's working as expected, and we can see the desired response in the browser. And that wraps up our deep dive into constructor injection in Spring Boot. We've covered why it's beneficial, how to implement it, and the best practices to follow. With this knowledge, you're well on your way to creating more robust, testable, and maintainable Spring Boot applications. Don't forget to practice what you've learned, and as always, happy coding! If you found this tutorial helpful, please like, share, and subscribe for more Spring Boot insights. Have questions or topics you'd like us to cover? Drop them in the comments below. See you in the next video.